Listeners, my name is Shannon Cooney from Merrick Property Group Real Estate Agency and a very proud sponsor of the Paracave podcast. If you own a property in the Penrith LGA or Lower Blue Mountains and would like to know what it's worth in today's market, give me a call on 0421 588 445.
Broadcasting live from the one and only Paracave. Hello and welcome to another bumper episode of the Paracave podcast. My name is Troy Warner and I'll be your host this week and every week. And today it is episode 108. And today, I'm chatting with a player who played for 4 clubs during his career: the Manly Sea Eagles, the Eastern Suburbs Roosters as they were known back in the day, the club I love, the Parramatta Eels, and also he was a player who played in the very first Gold Coast team, the Gold Coast / Tweed Heads Giants, and that is Mr. Mike Eden. Now, during the chat with Mike, we chat about playing for all those clubs mentioned above, his first grade debut, winning the prestigious Rothmans Medal, which was the medal for the best and fairest player in the league back in the day, playing with such leaders at Parramatta as Ray Price and Mick Cronin, having the unique skill of general play kicking off both feet. Amazing, that is. What Mike is up to now, some common league questions, some personality questions, the set of 6, and much, much more. So much to get through and to listen to. All brought to you by major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Leagues Club in the club shop. And later on in the podcast, I'll give you some information on how you could win a new car, a Subaru Impreza, with a competition that the Parramatta Leagues Club is running. So stay tuned for that one, a fantastic competition they are running. Also, a shout out to co-sponsors Shannon Cooney from the Merrick Property Group, the Stubby Club, and with the Stubby Club listeners, Father's Day, it's getting closer and closer. So for that best present for Dad, the Stubby Club has a huge range of sports merch and gifts to choose from. Not only NRL, but also AFL, NFL as well, EPL. So check them out. Head to thestubbyclub.com.au and remember to use your discount code, which is PARACAVE, at the checkout for a 10% discount. Also, Bo Cook from Loan Market as well, another proud sponsor of the podcast. He is your local Penrith mortgage expert, and as a co-sponsor of the podcast who has just come on board. If you're looking for a loan specialist near you who knows all about refinancing, first home loans, debt consolidation and more, then Bo Cook and his team are the people with the help and the answers as well. How do I know? Well, Bo has helped myself and my wife Amanda with a home loan, so we have that personal experience of what Bo and his team can do for you during these difficult financial times and get the best deal for you. You can contact Bo today on 0401 213 236 and get in contact with him for a free chat and see what Bo can do for you, and let him know that you heard it here on the Paracave podcast. Thank you very much to all the sponsors. With your support, it helps the podcast grow and reach more people, which is much appreciated. But enough of me talking. You don't want to hear from me. You want to hear from the guest this week. You want to hear from Mike Eden. So let's get into the chat and have a listen to his rugby league and life story. So as Hindy says,
get a beer, coffee, whatever you want.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy. And let's get straight into it.
Hi, my name is Mike Eden. I'm having a chat with Troy from the Paracave podcast and talking about my days as a rugby league player in the 80s with the mighty Manly Sea Eagles, the Roosters, and of course the Parramatta Eels and the Gold Coast Giants. Thank you for having me.
And as you heard from his intro, my guest today on the Paracave podcast is a former rugby league player with 4 clubs in what was the NSWRL in the day, making his debut with the Manly Sea Eagles, then moved to the Eastern Suburbs Roosters as they were known back in the day, the club that I love in the Parramatta Eels, and also played for the Gold Coast / Tweed Head Giants as well, the first ever Gold Coast team up there in Queensland. As I said, a player who played at the club I love, and with it being the 75th year anniversary of the Eels, why not get another former Eels player on the podcast? So welcome to the Paracave podcast, Mr. Mike Eden.
Thank you very much for having me.
Not a problem. Now, as a kid growing up, what was your childhood like? And was it always rugby league that you played, or was it all sports that you were interested in?
As a 4 and 5 year old, we had a 2-bedroom fibro joint in Rockdale in the St George district, and shared the room with my brother and my uncle, who at the time played for the Eastern Suburbs Roosters in 65, 6 and 7.
Okay, yeah.
Harry Eden also played in the 71 grand final. So I was a rugby league fanatic from the age of 5. Played soccer until I was 16 on Saturdays, and rugby league from the age of 9 on Sundays. And just loved my sport, loved my rugby league. Followed my uncle, who, as I said, played for the Roosters, the St George Dragons and the Rabbitohs. So I was used to following a number of clubs. Grew up in Manly from the age of 9, but that's where I started my rugby league career at Beacon Hill.
Oh, nice. Now,
Who happened to be blue and gold, by the way.
Oh, okay. Ironic. Now, you mentioned your uncle there, Harry Eden, who played for the Roosters, Dragons, and Rabbitohs, yes. And you mentioned there that you followed those sort of teams when he played for them. Was there any particular players that you also like to follow as well?
Well, we followed, basically, my uncle Harry played only for Jack Gibson's coach team. So Jack was very important to our family and to my uncle, and obviously to myself, and very important to the mighty Parramatta Eels as well in the early 80s. And so my heroes were Kevin Junee and Johnny Mays, halfbacks. I loved the halfbacks, and Billy Smith is my ultimate hero, together with my uncle Harry Eden. So tough halfbacks who were really good players. And, you know, the best person I ever played with and the toughest person I ever played with was obviously Peter Sterling, just the best ever person and player. Just tough, the toughest man I've ever seen play the game, along with Billy Smith, I guess.
Now, you mentioned Jack Gibson there. Growing up, did you have much memories now? Do you have much memories of growing up with Jack in and around?
Yeah, a strange dude, a very strange person.
Yeah.
My uncle was an SP bookie with Jack, and they were in the race, colourful racing identities they were at the time.
Yeah.
But my main memory with Jack Gibson was the 1983 Rothmans Medal night, where I sat next to Jack and Ron Coote and Tony Melrose. And Tony Melrose had just been sacked by Jack at Parramatta, and it was a very touchy night. But Jack called me Greg all night, and
Okay.
I'd known him from the age of 6, and he knew my name and he knew who I was, but he loved his mind games and tricks, and he was a great man and a great coach, and yeah, not a bad bloke, but a bit of a strange dude as well.
Now, you also just mentioned there Peter Sterling as well. He was my favourite player growing up until Nathan Hindmarsh came onto the scene. There's a lot of talk about immortals every day in rugby league. Do you think possibly Sterlo should be an immortal of rugby league?
Look, and I hate to put. No, it might sound a bit strange, but that 1980, I played in 85, 86, 87, played for Manly in 82 when Peter was behind what was arguably an ordinary pack of forwards. Like they were really good players. Anyone who plays first grade's great, but the pack weren't superstars. Peter and Brett Kenny played behind a pack that were just players, and they won premierships. Those two are superstars, and Peter, I like Brett a lot, and he was great, Brett Kenny, but Peter is, a superstar. And to be as tough and as talented and as good as he was, and to win premierships with a pack of forwards who were good but not great, I just think he is an ultimate superstar.
Yeah, no, definitely a legend of rugby league. And as I said, my favourite first Parramatta player growing up, watching
and a great man. Yeah, a good person as well.
Yeah, no, I've had a few meetings with him and spoken to him, and he's always got time for the fans, and he's living it up now in retirement from Channel 9, from the media. So,
no, I love Peter.
Yeah. Now, you made your first grade run-on debut in 1982, round 6, and you replaced, I think, the legend, Graham Eadie. Did you feel much pressure as you ended up taking over the goal kicking as well?
Yes, I did. And the first big game I played was at Belmore Sports Ground against Parramatta. Graham did his hamstring in about the first 5 minutes, and I played reserve grade in the mud against Paul Taylor, who happened to play second grade halfback, and I got bashed from pillar to post. And Paul's also a great person and a good player. And so I had to play then the next day and the next hour, against a great Parramatta team. And I think Steve Menzies was the fullback instead of Paul. But, that was a tough day out. I think Parramatta beat us 4-0. And then after that, the next week in Canberra was also tough. And, I enjoyed it. And I loved, my aim in life from the age of 6 or 7 was to play first grade rugby league, and it was great to do that. And I went to Manly Boys High School. I grew up in Manly, and playing for Manly was pretty good. I really enjoyed it.
Was it disappointing though, or a learning curve, playing most of the games in 82 and then being the club's top point scorer, but didn't play in the grand final against Parramatta?
Very, very disappointing. I got dropped the week before the semi-finals. We had beaten Parramatta in the midweek competition fairly convincingly. We beat them at Brookvale Oval, and I played very well both those games. Philip Blake replaced me, and he's a star, and I can never say that the selectors did the wrong thing, but I still think we would have beaten Parramatta had I played in the 82 grand final. Anyway,
that's fair enough.
I'm certain we would have.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Well, a lot of people say
my kid's favourite saying is, "Dad, you're not funny," but I think I'm hilarious.
Well, we're all gonna have a laugh every now and again. So, that's all good.
It's the same thing with the 86 grand final. What was John Money thinking putting Peter Sterling and Brett Kenny in front of me? We would have won by 10 or 20 points if I'd have played and dropped Sterlo or Brett, really.
But then there wouldn't have been it wouldn't have been a trialist grand final then, the only one in history.
No, exactly. We would have scored plenty.
Obviously, another sort of disappointment that year was coming close to selection on the Kangaroo Tour. How close were you to making that tour?
Well, I was told later in the season that I was on the plane because all the fullbacks were retiring. Graham Eady was retiring, I think. Someone else was injured, and they didn't have any. I would have gone as the second string fullback because I played most of the year fullback at Manly. I think they took Ian Schubert, which was a real shock because he was playing second grade somewhere at West or maybe at East or somewhere, and it was disappointing. But I was told that if I was in second grade, it was hard, but it would have changed a whole lot of things in my life, I guess. But I just wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
When you play for Australia, you've got to be pretty special, and I was good. Anyone who plays first grade's good.
Yeah.
But, to play for Australia, it would have been. It's the same with Origin. I should have got picked in front of a few blokes who played, but I still wasn't good enough to play Origin. So, in reality, you can't say, I was disappointed not to get picked. I would have been lucky to get picked.
Yeah.
And probably wasn't good enough, but it would have been fun. And I would have tried my hardest and done my best, and you never know what could have happened.
Well, speaking sort of like that, was that the reason for the move to the Roosters in '83, for more opportunity to play first grade?
No, in fact, I got married at 20. I was a non-drinker studying at Sydney Uni, studying law, so I didn't really fit in with the rugby league crowd at Manly, and I was on $3,000 a year sign on at Manly, and Bob Fulton was coming from the Roosters, and he told Mr. Arthurson that he was bringing a whole lot of players, Bowstead and Cleel and everyone else, and someone else, and they didn't want me there, and I was really disappointed. I offered to stay for half what they offered me at the Roosters, but they still said no. I got offered $25,000 and a new car to go to the Roosters as a very young person with a new family, and at university it was sort of hard to knock back, but I didn't get offered anything to stay at Manly, so I had no choice. I had to go.
Well, it turned out pretty successful for you moving to the Roosters, because you mentioned there before the Rothmans Medal Award, and for the listeners who don't know what the Rothmans Medal Award was, it was a cigarette company's award for the best and fairest player in the league, I think judged by referees. How special was that for you to win that award?
Well,
to be recognised like that.
It was recognised, and for the people down in Albury where I'm living now, it's like the Brownlow. It was the official award. The Dally M was in those days a journalist's award. It was an award given out by the newspapers, and no one really rated it. It's a lot higher now, and so the Rothmans was the award, and I was very proud to win it. I had a really good season, but when you look back again, I was very lucky. I got 21 points, which is the lowest ever points that anyone has ever won any award. So I was a little bit lucky, but I did play okay. I was happy with the season, and then the next year I was made club captain and played okay. Didn't get on great with the coach for a while. And then again, Arthur Beetson came along and said, sorry, mate, we don't want you. We're bringing in these Queenslanders. And that's where Graham Atkins took me out to Parramatta. And it was good.
Okay. Do you still get the award out every now and again and have a look at it and reminisce?
It's sitting, where is it? It's sitting somewhere. I saw it the other day. I'm thinking of getting it framed, but I don't know where it is at the moment.
Oh, okay.
But it's a big lump of gold. It's worth a fortune.
Yeah, wow.
I should melt it down.
Well, yeah, maybe one day. Well, yeah, you mentioned there that Graham Atkins got you out there to Parramatta. Were you worried about game time in first grade moving to the Eels, who were that star-studded side?
Look, I was very confident. The issue was always Peter and Brett, And I did get a reasonable offer to go to Balmain, which I probably, in hindsight, would have been better off. But the people at Parramatta were fantastic. The players, first, second, third grade, the coaches, Peter Louie and John Money, they're just good people, the Parramatta people. I lived in Manly and had to drive every day out there up Victoria Road to training. But, just good. The 3 years were just a great 3 years I had there. And I did get injured a lot. I did a groin, did my ankle, did a few sternum. I had some injury problems. And I would have played a lot more first grade had I have not been injured and had I have not been so, probably arrogant. I didn't want to play on the wing. In those days, being a winger was... no one really wanted to play on the wing except wingers. Yeah. And I could have played a lot more first grade because Mick Cronin really didn't want to be goal kicking. His eyes weren't good. Yep. And John Money did want me in the side. But
do you regret that decision now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I had have not been I didn't have a filter. I said my piece. I told coaches what I thought.
Yep.
And I'm still really good friends with John Money and all my coaches, Bob McCarthy, Laurie Fryer, Ray Ritchie's unfortunately passed, but I get on really good with them. But I probably should have kept my mouth shut a lot more than I did. But you can't regret anything. Anyone who plays one first grade game's got to be proud of what they've done.
Oh, definitely.
And in the 80s, that was pretty tough. They were horrible people, those forwards.
Definitely a tough era. Who were the guys that used to like to hang around with at training and after training at the Eels?
At the Eels, all the wingers. Eric, Neil, I had coffee with Neil Hunt the other day.
Okay.
Graham Atkins, I'm friends with Grant as well. Now, the David Lydia, the wingers were the nice guys that I keep in touch with a bit now. But it's funny. Yeah, the wingers are nice people. I should have been wanting to play them more often.
Well, one highlight you did have at the Eels was the Panasonic Cup final.
Yes.
Obviously, that rates. How high does that rate? Does that rate obviously behind the Rothmans Medal?
The most memorable day of my Parramatta career was the 1987 game against Canberra.
Okay.
At the new stadium.
Yep.
We were losing 22-0 at half-time and we got booed off by the fans, which was the only time that I felt that our Parramatta fans were unfair. And we ended up winning 32-22, I think.
That's right, yeah.
And I had a really good second half with Bobby Lidner. And I do remember that day. I am proud of how we came out and how I played that day. I was really happy with what we put in. And they had a good team with Meninga and Stewart and Daly. And, we had a good enough team, but they had a great team. So it was a great day. The night time was great. I love playing at Leichhardt. I played a lot of games on Wednesday nights at Leichhardt, at Manly and the Roosters. We played against Brisbane. I played against Wally Lewis in the number 6 in the final.
Oh, yeah.
In 84. I played in the final in 82 and then again in 86. Yeah, I loved that Leichhardt. It was a great competition. Really enjoyed it.
Obviously, these days there's a lot of games played, but
you couldn't do it now.
Nah, it'd be great to have a midweek competition, but
it'd be hard. And playing against Riverina and Western Districts and Newcastle was good as well, and Brisbane, who weren't in the competition at the time, that was good. But I don't know how they'd do it now. I don't think it could be done.
No, maybe
but it was fun.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Maybe some sort of pre-season tournament, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. Back in those days too, like we had to play on the Saturday after playing Wednesday, I don't know how they do it, how big and strong and fast they are now.
Yeah, it's completely changed.
Mm.
How much were you in and around the first grade team grand final week of '86?
Oh, because we played in the reserve grade grand final, we trained together as a squad.
Yep.
We were always Parramatta were good like that. They didn't have first and second grade divided in anything. It was the whole club. We had that. It was funny. We had Alan Jones come and speak to us on the Tuesday night before the grand final. That was good. He was very inspiring. I have no. How do I put it? Not a real fan of Alan Jones politically, but he was very good as a motivational speaker. And then we went out there, we played, unfortunately we lost in the semi-final, in the grand final, in the reserve grade, sorry.
Yep.
The Roosters stacked their team, and we were unlucky. But then on the bench, I thought, again, John Money should have put me on, but he didn't. When I think someone got injured, Mickey Delroy, I think I could have gone on as his replacement, but Tony Chalmers went. And Tony's a great player. Now, there's another winger who's a great player, terrific fella, and deserved to play as well. So, yeah, the 86 grand final was fantastic. We were on the back of the bus. Took us 3 hours, I think, to drive down George Street and up to the club. It was a great night. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Carrying the shield around the ground. The whole club was involved in the lap of honour. It was, very good.
That's good to hear. Hopefully this year, 2022, they get to do it again, hopefully.
You never know.
Nah, that's it. Now, I saw on your socials a 1986 Players Guidebook to the season. I think it was from John Money.
Yes.
That looked pretty interesting. Had you seen anything like that before during your time?
No. Rob Rowland Smith prepared that. John Money took the credit. The Sandhill Warrior Deke, we called him Deke, was our trainer. Worked at the King's School and great fella, and brought a bit of a professionalism into the training, and it was good. So I hadn't seen it before. Laurie Fryer was very tough at the Roosters. Personally, he made me train hard, and I was enjoyed it. But Parramatta, the professionalism was great. It was a strange sort of thing. There were some players who didn't have to do it or didn't do it, and but they were superstars, so everyone sort of accepted that.
What would have been your favourite standout memory at playing at Parramatta?
I think that Canberra game was
either on or off the field. Is there
well,
one
the
that
Canberra
stands out?
game was really important. I really enjoyed that in '87. Grand final day, I remember, and I do say to people, when you're a kid, you dream about putting the Vaseline on your knees and getting changed in the dressing rooms at the cricket ground. Now, I've done that twice on grand final day with 80,000 people. So, my life's been pretty good. And those grand finals, the 82 and the 86, just being part of it, even though I didn't get on the field, I did warm up a lot. I actually got on the field, but I didn't get on the pitch. It was good. And they're great memories that you never forget.
You mentioned there the Vaseline. Did you ever play with the black boot polish under the eyes?
Yes, I did. I think we did it in the 84 Panasonic Cup final against Brisbane, against Wally Lewis's team.
Did it reflect the light at all?
I don't know. It made no difference whatsoever. It looked cool. Or it looked stupid, one of the two.
Yeah, some of the great 80s memories there, the black boot polish and the Vaseline on the knees, and I think I remember Pricey putting it on his face, I think, as well at one stage.
Yeah.
there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, the move to the newly formed Gold Coast, Gold Coast / Tweed Heads Giants, that
Yes.
came into the comp in 1988. Was that, again, like for an opportunity as an experienced player at a new club?
Yeah. Look, as a kid growing up, Bob McCarthy and the Rabbitohs guys used to come over to our place for barbecues and things. My dad was a professional fisherman, so they'd come over on Good Friday and we'd have fish barbecues. So Bob McCarthy, John Sattler, owners, well, Bob was the coach, John Sattler was a part owner of the Giants, were friends of the family, and they convinced me that it'd be good for my career to go there, my legal career as well as my football career. And looking back, it was great. I ended up spending 20 years on the Gold Coast. My kids grew up there, and I loved it. But the actual football side of it was disappointing. We tried hard and we played hard, but it just was a whole bunch of people from different clubs all put together and no real DNA passion for the place, which was, disappointing. And the Titans, to this day, don't have any passion about them. And I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how they can fix it. I wish I did. I'd love to try and help them, but because rugby league needs expansion and it needs another Queensland team to do well, but the Titans, the Giants, Chargers has been a really disappointment to me since '88 when I moved up there.
What do you think actually, or what are your thoughts about not only rugby league teams on the Gold Coast, but professional sporting teams on the Gold Coast? Why do you think they seem to struggle for success?
I don't know. I went last Saturday before, to watch my 7-year-old grandson play rugby league for the Burleigh Bears, and there are thousands of kids doing it. They all want to do it, and they're all Gold Coast kids. And I just don't know what the issue is. The baseball didn't work. The basketball didn't work. The Aussie rules is not working. People have so much more to do there, and they just, no one comes from there. Yeah. Everyone moves to there, and everyone loves it. But everyone who goes up there either barracks for Parramatta, St George, South Sydney, someone else. They don't barrack for the Gold Coast Suns or the Gold Coast Titans or the Gold Coast baseball team.
It's definitely
they have their
market.
DNA somewhere else. Yeah. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know how you fix it.
It's definitely a hard market up there. But one highlight, no doubt, was being the club's first try scorer and being in the record books for that. That must be pretty cool.
Well, the other thing is, I'm player number what am I, 438 at Parramatta, 737 at the Roosters, 282 at Manly, and I'm player number 1 at the Gold Coast.
Yeah, wow,
which is so I played fullback in the first game at Tweed Heads. So I played for the Gold Coast Giants at fullback, and we played against Canterbury Bankstown, and Canterbury were being coached by someone who'd never coached first grade before, a bloke called Phil Gould, who ended up winning the premiership with his team. And we were in front at half-time. I did score the first try, and that was exciting. And we thought we were going to win. We knew we were going to win, and they just were better than us, and they beat us. And Phil gave them a huge spray at half-time, apparently. And up against Steve Mortimer and Terry Lamb and Paul Langmack and Peter Kelly, they were pretty good, but we were in front at half-time, and as you said, I scored the first try, and that was exciting. It was a great night, but the good guys lost.
And no doubt a trivia question every now and again, who scored the first try for the first Gold Coast team?
Yes.
Now, you mentioned playing fullback there, but you also played 5'8" and halfback. What was your favoured position?
I always consider myself a halfback.
Okay.
I grew up, I played all my junior football halfback. I captained all the rep sides at halfback. But I thought I was, looking back, it's easy in hindsight, I thought I was probably a better 5'8". I should have run more. But, fullback I was too small, I think. Although Paul Taylor showed that you can be small and play good fullback, so I could have been better.
And one of those key jobs, so you could call it, is kicking if you're a halfback. And
Yes.
you actually had the ability to kick in general play off both feet. Was that something that you trained for, or just natural? Or?
Well, I played a lot of soccer, but no, my claim to fame was that I kicked goals with both feet. So if I was on the right-hand side of the field, I'd kick with my left foot. And if I was on the left-hand side of the field, I'd kick with my right foot. I did kick in general play a little bit with both feet, but not as much as goal kicking. So my goal kicking was exceptional. Yeah, what I teach goal kickers is you have to think you're the best. You have to have between your ears, you've got to be confident, and you've got to know you're going to kick every goal. So I was always very, I suppose, big-headed, confident, because I was the best. I always thought I was the best. I was always going to be the best.
Yeah, no, that's some pretty wise advice there.
Yeah, it's all between your ears, goal kicking. And on top of that, you've got to practice a lot. I used to practice a lot.
Did you have a preferred foot that
I was
you
a
liked
right
to kick
footer.
off?
Yeah, I was a natural right footer.
Yeah. One of the players that you played with up at the Gold Coast was Ronnie Gibbs, Rambo.
Yes.
What sort of a player was he like?
I played with him at the Roosters as well, at Eastern Suburbs.
Oh, yeah.
And he was a young, raw-boned centre in those days. Tough guy. Really hard at the ball, hard in defence. And it's turned into a very great person. Does a lot of work with young Indigenous people now. Turned into a referee. Hated referees as a player.
Okay.
Used to get sent off or sin binned and call them everything under the sun. But now he doesn't do refereeing anymore. He's a bit old, but out in Burke, Western New South Wales, and just a great human being, Ron Gibbs. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's sort of, from my time watching rugby league, one of the original sort of firebrand, hard-running forwards.
Yes, yeah, and really tried to put his body on the line on everything. So, yeah, Ron was a very nice person and, a hard first-grade premiership winning player. And turned into a good person, a really great person.
Yeah. Now, back in your playing days, you had to, you obviously played, but then you also had to, I'm assuming, work as well to
Yes.
supplement the income. Is that then, before you retired, is that how you knew what you were going to do after playing?
I went to university in 1978 at Sydney University to study law. I just at the law school in Phillip Street. Unfortunately, I got married when I was 20, and in my third year at law, I failed a few subjects, so they kicked me out. I also played my first grade game, I think, maybe in 80 or 81. Got married, had kids. My first son was born in 1981. So, look, I had plenty of reasons to not do as well as I did in rugby league or at study, but no excuses. I focused on different things, the wrong things, and so I failed. I ended up going back to uni, passing in when I was at Parramatta. They were very supportive. Dennis Fitzgerald helped me get back into uni, and past I was always wanting to be a solicitor, but I did part-time work in a whole lot of different places while I played and raised my family. So the 80s were good, but also hard
Yeah, well,
for me.
you're now pretty successful, based, as you said, down there in Albury, down south in New South Wales. And are you still on the committee for the Albury Thunder Rugby League Club?
I help out a lot. I'm a board member of the Mungabarina Aboriginal Corporation, so I do some, as a white fellow,
Yeah.
I help the Indigenous people down here. I've also set up another office back on the Gold Coast. So I'm sort of spreading myself around.
Yeah.
At the moment, I'm working both in Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria. So I'm sort of, but I got to get back in to the rugby league side of it. I've got a Manly reunion on Friday, up on the Gold Coast, and a Parramatta one that I'm trying to get to in August, but I'll go to the Parramatta one next year. I think I'll struggle this year, but I haven't been to reunions for 20 years, and I want to get back into it and start watching my rugby league again.
Yeah, no, it's always good to catch up with your old mates at your
is.
old clubs and reminisce.
And we are very old, which is sad.
Yeah, no, well, I speak a lot to Michael Mosley and Troy Campbell as well, and they're part of the Blue and Gold Alliance, and they're doing some great work trying to organise.
Mose is a great bloke, and I think I managed Troy for a bit.
Okay.
Or I did some legal work for Troy.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. They are good. Hooker's a stupid position to play. Who would want to play hooker? How dumb are those two? They got bashed from pillar to post.
That was my second position as a kid.
Oh, well, you're not real smart either.
I started off at 5'8".
I put my head in one scrum once.
Then I started off at 5'8". Now, speaking of NRL, do you watch much of it these days at all?
I don't have a Foxtel or a KO, so I only watch free.
Yep.
And not as much as I probably should. And one day I'll get back into it and watch it.
Do you support one of your former clubs, or rugby league's a winner?
Yeah, rugby league. Well, the Albury Thunder I follow. There you go.
No, fair enough.
Yeah.
And speaking of bush footy, how is it doing down there at the moment?
Struggling. COVID really hurt us. And being on the border with Dan Andrews and Gladys Berejiklian playing pissing competitions, sorry about the language, but they were just trying to beat each other up, and it really hurt the people on the border.
Yeah.
And we weren't allowed to play because we were too close to Victoria. And it just, Gladys should be ashamed of what she did for the border communities. And Dan Andrews in Victoria is probably in the same boat. But everyone will forget that Gladys was who she was and what she did, because time heals all wounds. But I won't forget what she did to this community.
So thinking about that, how much?
And she was a number one Manly ticket holder, so boo on her.
I thought that was Hugh. I thought that was Hugh Jackman, to be honest.
Yeah, Hugh took over from Tony Abbott and Gladys, I think. Anyway, they're all Manly. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now, just speaking
and
of
Thomas Keneally, my best mate Thomas was also a number one ticket holder at Manly.
Yeah,
there's a story. There's a true rugby league man. He missed out on going to see Parramatta and Manly last week because he was competing in the over 85s downhill racing at Perisher Valley on the weekend.
Oh, wow.
Now, there's a tough rugby league man.
Yeah.
Thomas Keneally, amazing.
Yeah,
anyway,
definitely.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. That is amazing. Also, he did the NRL theme song, I think, late 90s, early 2000s, I
You
think.
could have
Blow
too.
that whistle, ref, I think.
Yes, Tom. He's the Schindler's List man, Thomas. Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
just a couple commonly questions that I ask generally all the
Yeah.
guests. Other than your home ground, did you have well, you mentioned Leichhardt Oval there before. Did you have a favourite ground other than Leichhardt that you used to love playing at?
The favourite ground I didn't like to play it, and I played the day that they burnt the stadium down, was Cumberland Oval. I used to carry my Beacon Hill bag to play against Parramatta because it was blue and gold, and the fans would leave me alone.
Smart.
No, Leichhardt Oval and Brookvale Oval were my two favourites.
Yeah.
Cumberland was okay.
What about a least favourite ground? Did you have one that you hated playing at?
Yeah, well, I hated going to Penrith because back in the day it'd take 2 or 3 hours to get there.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It just was horrible place to go to.
Out there, was it?
Yeah,
Yeah, and probably a dust bowl as well, I guess.
it was horrible. Yeah.
It was really tough in the 80s. Who was the hardest hitter being tackled? Who tackled you the hardest?
I thought about that. Look, the guys that were horrible, Peter Kelly and those guys at the Canterbury forwards, but probably Wayne Pearce hit the hardest.
Okay, yeah.
He was playing. Terry Randall, who I played with, was really tough, and Les Boyd was my favourite forwards to play with. Les Boyd was amazing to play with because he just, if anyone was trying to hurt you, he would kill them.
I suppose that probably sort of leads into one of the future questions, which I'll ask now. Were you glad then that you had Les in your team and not in that position?
Absolutely, and that's why I have so much respect for Peter Sterling. Parramatta had the Jack Gibson and the John Money philosophy was you were on to look after your own position and your own game. You weren't there to protect Peter Sterling. So the forwards, Terry Leabeater was probably the only exception with the forwards at Parramatta. But Peter had to look after himself, whereas you played at Manly or, even the Gold Coast with people like Ron Gibbs and Billy Johnson, they'd look after the halfbacks.
Okay, yeah.
And Les I remember the first game I played as a replacement, one of the first games I played against St George, and Rod Reddy scratched and bit and punched and kicked me, and Les just said, "Rocket, you touch the kid again, I'll kill you." And I played relaxed for the next 30 minutes. It was fine.
Oh, as you would.
Yeah, because Les would kill him.
Yeah, definitely.
He's a
real
horrible man.
well.
A horrible man. Good guy. Nice person off the field, but on the field, just horrible.
Yeah, a bit of the white line fever.
Absolutely.
Being at fullback or even in the halves, who would have been the hardest to tackle?
Hardest to tackle? Look, Olsen Filipina was hard, difficult. Mal Meninga was ridiculous. When he had that arm guard on and he put his knee out and his arm out, I was just a speed bump. He was impossible to get your arms around.
Yeah, definitely around those quads, eh?
Yeah, and he had that arm.
And that bump.
That was illegal. That what he used to do. But anyway, he hurt people, like little people like myself.
Well, I actually
but he was
saw,
a superstar.
Yeah, no, he was and is of rugby league. I actually saw the other day a tackle by Brad Fittler in the 91 grand final on Mal Meninga and just chopped him down. He came from the other side of the field and just chopped him down as if,
Yeah. Yeah, the head-on was always impossible with Mal for people like myself. You're just hard to... You just got to put your body on the line and hope.
Yeah, no, that's it. Well, you played with and against some champion players during your career, but is there someone you would have loved to have had in your team or even had the chance to play against?
I played against Wally in that '84 Panasonic. The guy is an absolute freak, star. I would have loved to have played with Reg Gasnier or against him because growing up as a kid. But no, look, I was blessed to play with and against Peter Sterling and Wally Lewis, and those guys are my heroes. Billy Smith and Graham Langlands as I was growing up, but very, very lucky to be able to call Peter Sterling a very good teammate and a star, and played against Wally. I got Wally's jumper in my office.
Oh, nice.
I swapped that night, and so I'm very happy with how I ended up.
Yeah, definitely.
Things could have been better, but you can't. Yeah, one first grade game would have been enough.
Yeah, definitely. I've played none, so you played more than me, so don't worry about that. Is there a player in today's game at all that you would love to play against or play with?
I had a chat with your fullback at Parramatta when he came down here on crutches. He'd done his knee. He was playing for Manly at the time.
Oh, yeah,
really
Clint
nice.
Gutherson,
He's a nice boy and a good person and puts everything in. I think he's a star, but the Manly fullback is just someone, I just think he's a superstar.
Tommy Turbo?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely.
He's terrific.
Yeah, no, the game's a lesser game with him not in it at the moment, obviously with that shoulder injury, so hopefully he can get back maybe for the World Cup, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm assuming in the 80s there was a lot of sledging on the field or pests on the field. Who was the biggest one in the opposition or in your teams?
Paul Langmack was really had a big mouth, and I like Paul. He's a good guy, but he was good at it. The Parramatta guys weren't allowed to.
Okay.
They just didn't.
Yeah.
The coaches didn't allow them to. Which was interesting. Scotty Gale, rest in peace, was really good with the mouth and a great player, good kid. In fact, at the age of 24, he said, "You silly old man. I used to watch you when I was at primary school." And I'm thinking, I'm 24. I'm not that old. Yeah, so there was, Greg Whitbread, who played at Canterbury and at the Gold Coast, mainly second grade, but a lot of first grade, was good at sledging.
Yeah.
Tommy was great. Yeah, terrific. I played a lot against Tom as a young guy. He was older going through. I was lucky enough too. That's another thing. I did play against Arthur once. Yeah. He played reserve grade at Parramatta, and he's a star. So Arthur Beetson at Parramatta was just great.
Yeah, for sure. Can you remember any of Tommy's sledges at all?
Oh, yeah, just it's always about your age, and you're in the big time now, boy. Just suck it up, and just put his finger in your eye, or gouge, or bite, or kick, and just get up, kid. You'll be okay.
Great.
He was fantastic.
Great man. One thing I did notice the other day of 80s football, I think I was watching a Parramatta Sharks game, I think, and there was a try scored, and instead of the high fives back in the day, it was a handshake or something like that. It was like,
no one ever came up.
Done.
Yeah, and it was only one or two. The rest of them were walking back to halfway. Yeah, you didn't ever congratulate anyone.
And then even when players were replaced on the field as well, it was like, a handshake and probably
that's it.
Good luck.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, amazing. The try scoring one was, and because even when you kicked a goal to win the game after the hooter, no one really They just shook your hand and said, oh, okay, that's fine. Well done. And I'm thinking, there's a southerly gale blowing, the wind, it's raining. You've kicked a leather ball from the sideline to win the game. And they've just said, oh, yeah, thanks,
That's all
mate.
you get, yeah. Okay.
You're right. It's so much positive reinforcement is so good for the soul and for the person.
Yeah,
And as well, you miss a tackle and someone scored a try, you got a spray. No one would talk to you. You'd be sitting behind the try line and the captain would be yelling at you.
Did you cop any
They go and
sprays
pat him on
at
the
all?
backside now, hey?
Did you cop any sprays?
All the time. Yeah, I didn't make many tackles. Yeah, I missed a lot.
Yeah,
But,
but you're right, though. These days, you see them, tap them
Yes,
on the bum
yes.
or the head or
Yes,
shoulder
they-
and say, mate, don't worry about it. It's like,
One story, I played halfback. In the old days, you'd have to put the ball in the second row and you get penalised if you did. And I was playing down at Brookvale Oval and the referee called me out and he said, once more I'll send you off. They used to send off the halfbacks for putting the ball in the second row. And it was John Gosher, the referee, and Max Krillich was my captain, he was also the Kangaroo captain at the time, Origin captain. And I said, oh, yes, sir, yes, sir. He looked at me, he said, mate, you take any notice of that person, and he used a C word,
yeah.
and you will never play first grade again. You keep putting the ball where I tell you to put it. And John Gosher just looked at me and looked at him and said, oh, just get on side. Go away.
What happened at the next scrum?
And I'm thinking I had to put it in the second row.
Yeah.
And the referee just said, let it go. And they used to intimidate him a lot, like Cameron Smith. If you were the Australian captain hooker, Max used to intimidate him a bit. But, you did what you were told.
Yeah, no, great story. Well, we'll wrap things up with the set of 6. It's like the personality questions, a bit of fun ones. What's your favourite sport outside of rugby league?
Aussie rules.
Okay, yeah.
I played 5 years old boys Aussie rules after retiring at the Surface Paradise Demons.
And how'd you
Aussie
go?
Rules Club. I went all right, but I found it hard to get off the ground. We chest catch, and you can't be any good if you catch the ball on your chest in Aussie rules. You got to reach out. But I kicked a lot of goals once I got out. And,
Oh, well, you're a champion kicker, so
yeah.
would have been handy. What's your specialty dish in the kitchen or on the barbecue?
Oh, what do I cook?
What's your go-to?
Oh, look, a steak and some pepper sauce. Rare. It has to be rare.
Nice.
On the stove. Yeah, I don't do barbecues. I'm such a girly person.
No, that's all right. Everyone's got their favourite ways. Who was the famous person you'd love to meet and have a chat with?
Famous person.
Who would you love to meet? Is there one person in the world from sports or movies or music that you'd love to meet and have a chat with?
Yeah, probably Spielberg.
Okay, yeah.
Or maybe Lucas. I'm not a Star Wars fan, but it just does my head in how he did that. Anyway.
Yeah, no, the originals were the best, I reckon, of those ones. Now, time to maybe give up a couple of former teammates, but if you were stuck on a deserted island, which 3 former teammates wouldn't you want to be stuck with?
Wouldn't want to. Mosley.
Okay, yeah. Why is that? Talk too much, or?
Yeah, I don't know, but I wouldn't want to. No, he's a pest. Steve Martin from Manly, the former Australian New South Wales halfback, is a bit of a pest. And who else? No, not sure. I can't pick a third one.
Stick with those 2 then.
Yeah.
Nah, that's fine. That's fine. Now, if you weren't a rugby league player, and it's probably a little bit different for yourself because, as I said, before you were working and playing, but
Yeah.
do you think it was always going to be law that you were going to get into?
I
Or was there
wanted to be a
something else?
school teacher. I
Okay.
wanted to be a school teacher. My careers advisor at school said, "Do you really want to end up like us? Have a look around you. Really? You want to be a school teacher?" and yeah, Paul Dawson was my PE teacher, and he's struggling a bit at the moment. Well, Chris is anyway. So, but no, I did want to be a school teacher, and I probably could have been. But other than that, no, nothing else.
No, that's fair enough. And the last one, who's your favourite band or solo artist to listen to?
My only claim to fame on the band is we had Flowers play at our school formal, and they became Ice House, and so In Excess and Flowers were the local bands around Manly when I was growing up. So yeah, they're sort of
nice.
the two that we.
What's your favourite Ice House song?
Oh, what is it? Southern whatever.
Oh, yeah, Great Southern Land.
Southern Land. Yeah.
Always gets played on Australia Day, that's
yeah,
for
that's
sure.
it.
Well, Mike Eden, thank you very much for your time and your chat today. I really enjoyed it and appreciate it.
Right.
I'm sure the fans will love it too. And it's been great to chat to a player who played at the club I love in the Eels. Maybe one day at a Para game we might catch up and say good day. So, Mike Eden,
Absolutely.
thank you
Thanks,
very
Troy.
much for coming on the Para Cave podcast today.
Great. Thanks, mate. See you, Troy.
Bye. Well, welcome back, and thanks for listening to Mike Eden and his rugby league and life story. And what an interesting story it was. It was really good to chat to someone who had a great career in rugby league, but also played at the club I love in the Parramatta Eels. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I appreciate Mike for his time and his chat. And hopefully one day at a Para game we'll catch up and say good day. Once again, a quick shout out and thanks to Jack's Pale Ale, the fantastic major sponsor of the podcast. Also, now to the competition the Leagues Club is running, celebrating its birthday, which you could win a new car, a Subaru Impreza. All you need to do is check out all the details at www.paraleagues.com.au on how you can enter and win. Thanks also to co-sponsor Shannon Cooney from the Merrick Property Group, who you heard from at the top of the podcast. Contact Shannon today for all your Penrith and Lower Blue Mountains real estate needs, either buying or selling. And also to the Stubby Club, thank you. And don't forget to head to the website www.thestubbyclub.com.au and order your NRL merchandise, or as I said before, NRL, NFL, AFL, EPL merchandise. Get that present for Dad for Father's Day. It's not too far away. Use the discount code PARACAVE and you'll get 10% off. I'm going to mention to my daughter Ella, that's for sure. I'm going to show her a few things on the website, and who knows, maybe I might get a present or two from the Stubby Club for Father's Day. Looking forward to that one. And also Bo Cook from Lone Market. Once again, his contact number is 0401 213 236. Get in contact with him for a free chat and see how he and his team can help you get on top of your home loan and find you that best deal. Please support these businesses that support the podcast, that help bring you quality entertainment each week. Share the love on socials as well. Tag the Paracave podcast. And if you would like to become a sponsor of the podcast and get your business noticed each week on social media, please feel free to send me a DM on socials or email the Paracave podcast at yahoo.com, and we will see what we can do for each other. Thank you once again to you, the listeners, for listening to Ian Maurice and Ian the Bear Maurice and his rugby league and life story. I really enjoyed listening to Ian's story. It was really good to reminisce about the good old days of rugby league and its TV coverage especially. Brought back some great memories, especially State of Origin as well. So yeah, brought back some great memories listening to the Bear talk about his career in the media. If you missed it last week, I hope you enjoyed it as well, as much as I did. And if you missed it last week, simply head back to the episode list and check it out. Thank you to you, the listeners, for listening and sharing with your family and friends. And please, if you liked it, please give a 5-star rating and review on the podcast platform that you listen to. It'll be most appreciated. Also, don't forget to tune in to the Talking Para podcast as well, which is usually out on each Wednesday. It's 4 para lads, including myself, chewing the fat about the Eels each week. We review and preview the Eels games each week, and we also make a few predictions as well, like the score, first try scorer, and a bold prediction. A bit of fun each week, so tune into that one. And this coming Thursday, we will be having a special live stream of the Eels v Broncos game on the social media channels. So check out the Talking Para Instagram page for details on that one. You'll also be able to catch myself on Pulse FM each week on a Friday and a Sunday, talking NRL with the Duckman himself on Duckman's Weekend Sports Wrap show. It's about 6:20 p.m. each week, and it's on 89.9 FM radio as well, so check that one out and hear my thoughts about not only the Parramatta game but also across the NRL games as well. We're leading into the finals now, so it looks like the final 8 has been set. It's just a matter of which order they set in, so tune in for that one. And thanks again also to the official media partner of the podcast, the Parramatta Times. For all your local Parramatta news, simply head to www.parramattatimes.com.au and check out what's going on in the area. Keep up to date with the Parramatta news as well, and you might see something in there from the podcast as well. Stay safe wherever you are listening from in this world of ours. Have a great week as best you can, and I'll catch you next week for episode 109. But stay tuned to the socials to see who is coming up next and what is coming up next. Hopefully there is a little surprise starting maybe next week, maybe even this week, you never know, but we'll have to see about that one. Yeah, we may have a special guest talking about the Eels games previous and what's coming up leading into the finals as well. So a very special guest, but stay tuned for that one to the podcast. But if you want to send me a DM on social media, by all means, go ahead. I'm always up for a chat about the Eels, the greatest game of all, and the Parramatta Eels. Or if simply you just want to send me a message about who you would like to see come on the show, and I'll see if I can get them on for a chat for the fans. And to sign off the show, and as I always say, the Para Cave podcast, by the fan, for the fans. Go Para!